I started using alcohol and drugs when I was real little. I started to do more like a lot of cocaine and heroin, and that's when the bottom pretty much fell out. Before you know it, I was homeless and badly addicted to heroin. Well, I would sleep at night, usually in an abandoned house. I was working for street corner drug dealers to support my habit.
Basically trying to blend in, trying to be a part of, that's when I started messing with drugs and alcohol, and just to try to be one of the guys, that sort of thing. Then it got out of control. When I really blast off with the drug scene really bad, I lost a marriage over that.
I worked in the restaurant business for 22 years. I was gonna cook and party to the day I die. Drugs and alcohol was thing that I liked, that I got used to doing. I ended up homeless here in Frederick, and I was wandering the streets. I've tried and tried and tried to make something out of myself, and I kept failing.
In 1998, something was happening here at the Frederick Rescue Mission. Many of our graduates were losing the battle that ensues upon graduation. After living in the structured and accountable community of the Beacon House for 12 months, many of the men had trouble adjusting to their new, sudden reintroduction into society. And many ended up going back into their old habits of using drugs and alcohol. So the Frederick Rescue Mission decided they needed to do something, and thus began the Lazarus Project. Much like Jesus calling Lazarus out of the tomb, Jesus was now calling the graduates of the Changed Life Recovery Program back to life. Life apart from their addictions and the dead world of sin that they had been living in.
When I got out of prison, I would come to the mission, and I asked them about the Bible, if they studied the Bible. He said yes, and I said please, just get me there.
But the men needed a lot of guidance during this time, as they began to take the things they learned while at the mission, things like learning to live right lives and making right decisions, seeking Christ daily as their source of strength and leaning on His faithfulness and His love and His truth, and apply them to their everyday lives. The men needed more of a stepping stone back into everyday life. In August 1999, the Frederick Rescue Mission purchased two formerly well-known crack houses adjacent to their property, and through the help of local businesses, volunteers, and churches, began the transformation into transitional housing for the graduates. The buildings were opened consecutively in 2000 and in 2001 and can house 5 men in each house.
Living here gives me a chance to go out and find a job and see how I do out in the world.
It started to make me feel like I was normal again. It allowed me to stay still connected to the mission and to work so I could, get on with my life.
I just wanted to get in transitional, get it going back into normal life. Working every day and getting up in the morning and get regular life started back over again. You can get a lot done, school, driving license, get your high school diploma, wherever you might want to do. That was really the center for me to get the driving license. I never had one legally. I always knew how to drive, but I knew I had to be legal. The spectrum just gets a little bit wider when you have a license. I obtained other stuff that I never obtained before. Because I didn't have a driver's license. Now I have one. Anything can happen.
It's a blessing that we only pay rent, and electric, and then the rest of it is provided for us and everything. But it's a chance for us to save money, and when we get out of here, we can get our own place.
The money that I saved helped by me being able to put down a security deposit. It's not very big. I don't want to be too much over my head. It's a very nice, secure place. I have very good neighbors, and it's close enough to the mission to where I can stay in touch and be a part of the mission still.
My base is here. People that I know, I can go to meetings. I can still interact with the guys at the mission and other churches that I interact with in Frederick. So I don't want to leave that base. I want to stay connected.
While living in transitional housing, the men will be working or actively furthering their education.
Ralph's been here for, this is I think the 6th week, and he seems to be doing very well.
I was very surprised that I made the dean's list. I'm studying for me to get knowledge, but I'm not interested in being in the dean list.
He's a good participator in class. He questions me when he doesn't understand something. So he does take responsibility for his own learning.
So when I got the letter, it kind of like freaked me out. I'm like, oh my God, I made the dean's list. I got excited, you know, and even my mom got excited. You know, it's a great achievement. I am graduating from college, from Frederick Community College in May 21st is my graduation. And I'll be the happiest man on earth when that happens.
Somebody asked me a secret about what my success of being here. You just got to stay, you just got to keep your focus. And you have to have a plan. What you want to achieve here while you are here. Don't let nobody get you off your path.
As I sit beneath the pleasant tree, I hope you'll understand the pleasantry of life.
Somebody would have told me 5 years ago that I would be playing worship music, I would say that you were crazy. But you know, it's become a very important part of my life, just to bring other people to worship the Lord. Coming from prison to living in the mission, and then finally living what I would say pretty much on your own again with a few other fellers, you know, it made me feel normal. If it wasn't for my time at the transitional housing, I believe I would have just went back to my old ways. I probably would have been on the street. I would have made my way back to Baltimore, and you know, I'd probably be in quite a big mess by now.